Hello students, today we are going to start off with a new unit which is known as database management. So this unit consists of 20 marks and this is the part 1 of this particular unit. So today we are basically going to discuss about introduction to database concepts. In this part we will basically be discussing about some terms which are related to database concepts. So with those terms our further study will be helpful. Now for database management we can use various softwares. So the software that we are going to use in our course is MySQL. So let's begin with our discussion with the curriculum. So this is our syllabus for database concepts. So out of all this, today we are going to discuss about the parts highlighted in red. So let's begin our discussion on database concepts. So let's begin with the concept of data. Now what do we mean by a data? Data may be defined as some raw facts or figures. So if we just take some raw facts like 1, 2, 3, 4 like Ram, then Raj, then Chennai, Delhi, all these things are known as some raw facts. So these raw facts may be defined as data. So what is data? Data may be defined as some raw facts or figures. Now these facts or figures may be stored properly with the help of the database. So what is a database? A database may be defined as a collection of related data. So if we take some related data, what to give some examples of related data? Some examples of related data can be like name, class, roll number. So name, class and roll number, these are some of the features of a student. So it can be said as a related data. So if we take a collection of related data and store it properly, then it can be said as a database. So for example, if I take roll, name, class and percentage, this can be termed as a related data. But if I take roll, name and population, you can see here population has no relation with roll number and name. So this cannot be said as a related data. So it is what? It is an unrelated data. So will it form a part of a database? No, it will not form a part of a database. For being a part of a database, the data must be related data. That means there must be some link between different data units. What are some of the applications of database systems? Now database systems are used widely in a variety of fields. Some of them are like in the banking sector, database systems are extensively used. How they are used? They are used for storing the customer information, for retrieving the customer information, for fund transfer, balance inquiry. Means all the storage and retrieval work of bank is done with the help of database systems. Next, in airlines also database systems are used for customer information, for reservation, for searching for flight information. Database systems are basically used. Now they are used in schools also for storing students' data, for storing students' results, for giving the results to the students. Database systems are used. So these are just some of the examples of database systems, but database systems has a wide variety of applications in the entire world. Now how to manage those data? For managing those data we require a software. That software is known as DBMS or Database Management System. So what is a database management system? So database management system is a software for storing a collection of interrelated data and a set of programs to access those data while considering appropriate security measures. So what is DBMS? It is a software. What type of software? This software is used to store related data, and not just storing. Storing is not the only work of DBMS, because storing can be done in Microsoft Word also. But is it a database management system? No, it is not a database management system. Why? Because along with storage, it has to have certain features so that we can efficiently access those data. Okay? And there should be some security of those data. Security, what kind of security? Because if the data is not secure, then anyone and everyone can come and access those data, which is not desirable. So, as you can see, whenever you will use the software called MySQL, just after entering that software, it will prompt you to give your password. What is password? Password is a security. So, only the authorized persons who will have the password will have access to the database management system. Some examples of database management systems are Microsoft SQL Server, Oracle, MySQL, SQLite, PostgreSQL and Microsoft Access. So, these are some examples of database management systems. Out of these examples, we will be using which one will basically be dealing with MySQL. Okay. So, what is MySQL? It is a DBMS which is used for efficient storage and retrieval of data. What is the need for a database? Database is required for the following purpose. First is, databases reduce the data redundancy to a great extent. Now, what is the meaning of the word redundancy? Redundancy means repetition of data. So, if we are storing the same data at multiple places, then it is called a redundant data. Let us see with the help of an example. Let us say we have a school. Let us say the name of the school is ABC Public School. Okay. So, in that school, let us say there is a office. So, every school has an office. So, now let us say they are not using database management system. They are storing the student information in a diary or in a copy. So, in there they, let us say they stores the students information in this form like name, then let us say class and let us say address. Okay. Now, let us assume that this school has a hostel also in its campus. Now, hostel will also have an office and that office will also store the information of the hostelers of a particular school. Let us say the first person name is A, class is let us say 12, address is let us say New Delhi. I am writing in short form. Let us say the second person's name is B, he is a student of class 10 and let us say his address is Mumbai. Now, let us assume that B is a student of this school and B is also a hosteler. Now, if there is an office in hostel and they are, mind you that they are not using database management system, now the hostel office should also store the details of whom? B. So, like B, then class is 10 and address is Mumbai. So, what we are doing? We are storing the same information at multiple places. This is known as data redundancy. But data redundancy is not a desirable thing, it is undesirable. So, if we are using database management system, data redundancy is eliminated. That means, if we store a data at one place, it will automatically be reflected at all the other tables. So, this is an advantage of database management system as compared to manual record keeping system. Now, what is a manual record keeping system? If we are using pen and paper based system, it is known as a manual record keeping system. Next is, databases can control the data inconsistency to a large extent. Now, let us see what is the meaning of data inconsistency. Now, let us say B is a hosteler and there is a rule in the school that if someone changes their address, it needs to be informed to the school office. Now, let us say B's parents has changed from their address from Mumbai to let us say Chennai, and their parents has gone by the rule and they have informed the school office. But the school office has forgot to give the same information to the hostel office. Now, for the same student, at one place his address is Chennai and at other place his address is Mumbai. Now, let us say there is an annual program of the school and all the hostelers' parents are invited. Now, where will they send the letter? They will send it to the Chennai address or to the Mumbai address. They will themselves get confused. Here what is happening? Data is inconsistent. That means for the same thing we are getting different values, which happens in case of manual record keeping system. But if we are using a database management system, then if we do a change at one part, the changes are automatically reflected to all the other linked parts. Next is databases facilitate sharing of data. That means if we just create data one time, we can share it with different other persons without having to create that again and again. But if we are using manual record keeping system, then we have to write the same data again and again. That means sharing is not possible effectively. Databases enforce standards. Now, what is the meaning of standard? Standard means a common format of storing information. Let's say they are using manual record keeping system, and in the school office the information is stored as name, class and address. Let's say in the hostel office it is being stored as, let's say, class, name and address. Now, you can see that the format of storage in the school office and in the hostel is not same. In the school office it has been stored as name, class and address, and in the hostel office it has been stored as class, name and address. That means the standard is not maintained, but it is better if a common standard is followed across the entire organization. But databases ensures that a common standard is followed across the entire organization. Next is databases can ensure data security. Now, in case of manual record keeping system, what happens? Someone might come at night and they might steal sensitive information, but it cannot happen with databases because databases has certain security. Only the persons who will have the passwords will be able to access a particular database. Integrity can be maintained through database. Integrity means non-modification of information. Only authorized users, since there is a password for entering into the database, only authorized users are able to modify information within the database. Now, who is the authorized user? Authorized users will be the database administrator. It is basically referred by the term DBA, which stands for database administrator. Now, in case of manual record keeping system, anyone may come and modify the information which is available in their organization. So, for this reason, we need to shift from manual pen and paper based system to database management system. Now, for storing the database, there are different models, but the most popular model and the one which we are going to use in our discussion is the relational data model. Now, what does a relational data model does? This model uses a collection of tables to represent both data and relationship among those data. Now, in case of relational data model, some tables are used. A collection of tables are used and those tables are linked by a common ID. Okay? And tables consist of rows and columns, you already know that. Now, each table can have multiple columns and each column has a unique name. Now, each table may have one column or more than one column, each table will have a name. So, let us say we have a database called school. Remember that within a database we can have a variety of tables. So, for example, within database school, let us say we have this table, the name we have, let us say, these 3 tables. Okay. So, as you can see, each table has certain number of columns. In the first table we have 3 columns, in the second one we have 2 columns, and in the third one we have 3 columns itself, and we have certain number of rows here. Let us say the name of the first table is as basic, second table is as class, and third table is as guardian. So, the first table is used for storing the basic information of students, second table is used for storing the class of the student, and third table is used to store the parents information of the student. Now, how these tables are linked? These are linked by a common column. What is the common column here? The common column is student ID. So, they are linked by student ID. So, by now you should know that within a database we may have various tables, okay, and this is called as a relational data model. Why it is called as a relational data model? Because in a relational data model the information is represented with the help of tables. Tables consist of your rows and columns. Now, let us go to certain terms before going to the further discussion. So, the first term is relation. Relation is nothing but the tables. So, whatever tables are there in a database, these tables are referred by the word relation. So, what is this? This is a relation. From now on, whenever I will be using the word relation, you must know that I am referring to nothing but the tables itself. Next term we need to know is tuple. What is a tuple? The rows in a relation are known as tuples. So, from now on, whenever I will be using the word tuple, you must know that I am referring to the rows. Similarly, columns also has a name, that name is known as attributes. So, what are attributes? The columns in a relation are known as attributes. For example, this is a table is known as a relation. These are the rows of a table, the rows are known by the name of tuple, and these are the columns of the table. What are the columns? As STID, name and address, these columns are known as what? They are known by the name of attributes. Let us go to the next term, which is degree. What is degree? Degree means the number of columns in a relation. That means how many columns are there in a table, it is known as degree. Next term is what? Cardinality. What is cardinality? The number of tuples, that means number of rows in a relation, is known as cardinality. People often confuse with degree and cardinality in the examination. They write number of rows in place of degree and number of columns in case of cardinality. Now, how can you remember it? You can remember it by this short form called DC. DC comics, you have heard about it. So, DC means D for degree, C for columns. That means you can remember that degree means the number of columns. So, if degree is the number of columns, then next one will be what? CR. CR means CR7. That means cardinality is the number of rows. You can remember it in this manner. So, this is the table. This table is called as a relation. These rows are known as tuples. Columns are known as attributes. So, here what is the degree? Degree means what? DC means number of columns. How many columns are there? Here we have 3 columns. What is the cardinality? Cardinality is 4. Cardinality refers to the number of rows excluding the header row. That means you cannot consider this heading while counting the cardinality. So, what is the cardinality here? We have 4 rows with contents. So, the cardinality here will be 4. Let us go to the next term, which is domain. What is a domain? A domain may be defined as a pool of values from which the actual values appearing in a column are drawn. Let us try to understand it with the help of an example. Let us say that this is a class. This class is called class 10A. Now, let us say there is a drama or a dance competition, and in that drama or dance competition, 2 students are required from class 10A. Now, when it has been instructed that 2 students are required from which class? From class 10A, can any other student come from a different school or from a different class and participate in the competition? No, because it has been mentioned that the student should be of class 10A only. So, all the students of class 10A will come under a domain. So, what is the domain of class 10A? If we consider the roll number or the student ID, the domain is 1001, 1002, 1003 and 1004. What are these? These are the student ID of the students of class 10A. Now, whoever will be participating in the dance or drama competition should be from this particular set of student ID only, and this is called as the domain. Domain means the entire set of values from which the actual values can be extracted. So, what is this? This is a domain. So, from this domain, let us say 1001 and 1004 are going to participate in the drama competition. Okay. So, remember that domain means the entire pool of values, and from that entire pool of values we can extract some values. So, while extracting, it must be ensured that the extracted values fall under the domain of the main table. What is the main table here? 10A. What is the extracted table? Extracted table is the drama table. Okay. Let us go to the next term, which is view. What is view? A view is a virtual table. What do we mean by the word virtual? Virtual means something which is imaginary, which does not really exist, but which is just an imaginary thing. So, similarly, a view is a virtual table that does not really exist, but is instead derived from one or more underlying base table. What is a base table? Base table is the actual table which we have created. Let us say we have this particular table. So, let us give you an example. So, in a while going for taking out money from the ATM machine, what do? You swipe your card, then you enter your PIN, and after that your details will come show in the screen, and then you can just take out money from the ATM. Now, let us say you have an account at SBI or State Bank of India. So, now, all the customer information will be stored in one table. Let us assume it like that. So, if all the customer information are stored in one table, now when a particular person swipes his card in the ATM machine, he will be able to see only his information, which is known as a view. View is the information which you are seeing. For example, while registering for a new Facebook account, you are giving your details like name, then your email address, and your age, your gender. All these things are stored in a table. But while logging in into the system, you are seeing only your information. That information which is visible to the users from the entire table is known as a view. So, let us say we have this table. It consists of student's name, student ID, name and address. Now, let us say Elias wants to see his information. Let us say he has given his student ID. So, he will be able to see only his information, not the entire information. So, this is a view, or this can be said as view 1. So, for Raj, if he enters his student ID, he will see only his information, which is view 2. If Bob enters his student ID, then he will get only his information. But are these real tables? No, these are not real tables. These are virtual tables, or no, these are known as views. There can be more than one view of a single table. As you can see here, how many views are there from this table? We have 3 views of the same table. Understood? So, it is a virtual table that does not really exist, but is derived from the base table. What is the base table? Base table is the 10A table, and these are the views of this base table. Okay, so that is all for the day. So, this was our syllabus, and out of this we have discussed these topics today. In the next session, I will be dealing with the concept of keys. Thank you very much. I hope that this session was useful.